Hello students, good morning. Welcome. Today I have taken a few GRE high frequency words from the newspapers and look at the first slide. In this slide we have a high frequency word that is egalitarianism. Egalitarianism meaning that idea that all people should have the same rights and opportunities. So generally this egalitarianism is possible only in a democratic country. So egalitarianism synonym is democratic. And today our government imposing some rules, of course, which is against to democracy or which is against to the canons of democracy. But today it demands. Sometimes the democratic country should follow the rules of dictatorship in order to stem, in order to contain, in order to control, in order to compress, in order to curb, in order to quell the vicious passions or what you call the contagious diseases. Yes, in this context, it is apt, it is relevant. So we should give the cooperation to our government. So in this context, and the governments addressing the issue, addressing the problem by building cooperation, by building faith in his citizens. Right? So egalitarianism meaning here democratic. We know egalitarian society, democratic society. Right? Next slide. Here we have four words. First one is lay bare. Lay bare meaning reveal something or expose some difficult thing or exhibit or explain the complicated matter, or it is very clear to our eyes. And here the unpredictable or what you call this brutal external shock is laying bare the most essential as well as the most complicated challenges of democratic citizenship. Today, some challenges, that is, some challenges are posing to mankind. And what are the challenges before us? That to a democratic citizenship. Yes, at this moment, and everyone should show their balance of mind and how to tackle this crisis. So today everyone has to understand and this particular crunch situation or what you call crunch period, this is difficult period. So this is very crystal clear to everyone, and this exhibits, this shock exhibits, reveals. Another word, irresistible, means you cannot resist your feelings. That is called irresistible. Means there is a possibility of tempting, but here there is no such kind of thing. You should stay at home. You should maintain resisting power. So irresistible meaning and not to control your temptation. Right? You are in the tempting mood. In one of the R.K. Narayan's stories, a small boy and resisted his feelings, resisted his longings when he entered the exhibition, and there everything was a feast to his eyes, a feast to his eardrums, and he got mouth-watering, he got mouth-watering. He wanted to taste what you call the sweet items arranged beautifully. But all his desires were controlled, compelled, compressed by his poor father, because the father couldn't buy, his pocket didn't allow, and at the same time, all these what you call eatable things, and they were not covered, and they were exposed to dust. So there is a chance of what you call getting some diseases. So that's why, and those items were not fresh. Because of these two reasons, and that father declined his desires, means his child's desires. And at that time, the child controlled all his what you call ambitions, desires, and the father appeared to be a tyrant to him, a dictator to him. But what the father did was correct at that moment, and later the child understood. So sometimes, and we are tempted, attracted by worldly pleasures, we are carried away by worldly pleasures. But this is not the time to be carried away by all these things. As we know, appearances are deceptive. All that glitters is not gold. We should not be carried away by outward appearances. At this juncture, we must be very careful, and we should be, yes, we should have we should resist our feelings, right? So irresistible meaning tempting. Next word, usurp. Usurp meaning and getting the powers of somebody by intimidating or by menacing or by threatening that particular person. So it is unlawful. It is an immoral activity. It is not permitted. It is not allowed legally. But in our mythological stories or in our history, and we read so many kings usurped the weak kings, means they got their power unlawfully. So usurp meaning here appropriate. So here appropriate meaning, we know one meaning. Appropriate means very relevant. You see, I have given a relevant example in order to explain the word irresistible and resistible. Their appropriate meaning relevant. But here in this context, appropriate meaning usurp, meaning what? Taking some authority, somebody's authority forcefully. That is called seize or capture. Right? In that way, that is the word we use, usurp. So Trump has claimed total authority. So sometimes that is a powerful authorities, means what you call the kings or the powerful presidents or prime ministers or the governments, and they use their what you call a threatening authority in order to what you call appropriate somebody's authority. That is called usurp. Next, he is a young journalist, and this young journalist expressed his anguish in the newspaper in his what you call article. We know anti-defection law. This anti-defection law should be used for the protection of the governments, for the protection of the people. It is good for the people. But today, where is that anti-defection law? It was not used, it was not implemented in both in letter and spirit. Yes, in one state, what happened recently, we know that. And which is meant for, actually this anti-defection law, actually defection meaning the act of leaving a country or the act of leaving a political party to go to another political party or to another country. And that is called defection, that is called anti-defection. If anybody that is follows that particular procedure, immediately action will be taken against that person. And that is called anti-defection law. And that is not today used, that is not used today to control them, but it is used to be, that is avoided to bring down governments. Today that law is used to circumvent it, means avoid it, to bring down the governments. Means to bring down means to collapse, seize the power from somebody, or ousting, dethroning, toppling, or collapsing. That is the meaning of bring down. And here another word, ethical politics. Today, there is no room for ethical politics. No morality. No political leader has observed the canons of constitution, the principles of constitution. They are not following the maxims and axioms or aphorisms of the constitutions, the moral values. All those moral values are left to the winds. So, such kind of journalists, they have so much of anguish and they express their views in the newspaper. And here, there is another high frequency word, skullduggery. Skullduggery meaning secret and honest. Here, the political parties have followed one novel modus operandi. That is bypassing the anti-defection law and dethroning elected governments or toppling elected governments. So here, skullduggery meaning secret and dishonest method they are following. So really, it is a painful thing to everyone. And here, three high frequency words, overarching, afloat and deploying. So here, overarching means most important. Today, to the governments and to our RBI, and these, that is, they are using some and they are implementing some measures in order to control our shattered economy. So their main agenda is and to keep our economy afloat. To keep our economy afloat means to keep our economy out of debts or out of difficulty. That is called afloat. Actually, the literary meaning of afloat is if you throw a block of wood on the surface of the running water, yet it floats. It moves gently and it floats very gently, right? Afloat. That is the meaning of afloat, right? Floating on the surface of the water very comfortably. So here, afloat meaning in this context, yes, the governments and RBI also and trying to keep our economy afloat. Means trying to keep our economy should be in safe, not in doldrums. How? What is the method they are following? By arranging all the instruments at RBI's commanding, or following, or deploying. Deploying means installing, using, or setting up. See, our RBI governor has recently announced, moratorium to the customers and some plenty of liquidity measures, a slew of liquidity measures. Here, SLEW, slew meaning a large amount of or a large number of. So, what is the main objective here? To ease financial stress, to mitigate financial stress, to ameliorate financial stress, right? And to alleviate means to lessen, LESSEN, to lessen the pain, right? To ease the financial stress and increase credit flows. Once credit, the capacity, particularly for the banks, if the banks have lending capacity, and definitely, and we can see the business activity will be on the track. Once the business activities are on the track, and there is so much of business activity and hectic activity, and that activity sometimes frenzied business activity, frenetic business activity, because banks have lending capacity and business people and small scale industries and the priority sector can utilize the opportunity and they can run their business. Once that business is on the track, and yes, our economy may not be in doldrums. So with that main objective, and the government and the RBI has pumped almost 1 lakh 1 lakh crore into the market, that much amount is given to banks, right? Refrain from, you see recently because of this moratorium, and customers have got some kind of relief. But there is some sage advice given to the customers. If you have the money, it is better to pay the EMI, equated monthly installment. Okay. Yes, and such kind of people, okay, can be refrained from it, means can be stopped from it, and that is the benefit of the customers. And the move was aimed at addressing the liquidity crunch faced by business. See, here, address. What is the meaning of address? So, address on the envelope, that is one meaning. The Prime Minister addressed the public, that is another meaning. Recently, the Prime Minister has addressed the problem, coronavirus problem. Here, address meaning and to deal with a problem or to deal with a matter. And in that context, we use the word address. And he addressed what? The liquidity crunch faced by the business and individuals due to the economic lockdown imposed to help contain the COVID-19 pandemic. Here, crunch meaning critical situation. Now we are in a difficult situation, a grave situation. Our situation is a grim situation. And we are facing the grim situation and liquidity crunch particularly. Right? So, crunch meaning critical situation. RBI to infuse 1 lakh crore stimulus. Here, stimulus means encouragement to banks. And it pushes banks to lend more. Nudges means pushes or encourages. Encourages the banks to lend more to the public. So with that purpose, such a big amount, humongous amount, colossal amount infused, right, and given to the banks. And look at this picture. And today, yes, everybody is locked. Everybody is at home. Particularly, this is the case of the children, school-going children. And they are spending most, that is 24 hours time at home. So really it is a difficult task to parents to control them and to give extra work in order to stop them doing something nonsense. And here is an article. You need not do anything extra this pandemic, but social media, parents, everybody is hell-bent, means decided. Hell-bent means determined, made up their mind on making COVID-19 pandemic useful, profitable. Yes, it is really good, but there is a negative thing also. And we have to keep in our mind. Because of this, there is a possibility of to chill too. To chill means to scare us, to frighten us. The moment parents start impose, insist, or press their ideas, or press some kind of extra work on their children, and there is a possibility, and children may drop slowly but steadily into some psychological disorder. But they want to put them in an order, and ultimately the consequence may be, and they may be in disorder. They may be in disarray. You know the word D-I-S-A-R-R-A-Y. Disarray means disorder. So be careful and about this. So here, another word, flutter. You know, J.K. Rowling created a flutter on Twitter recently. So flutter meaning nervous excitement or a confusion, right? When she gave scathing reply means here a biting reply, a caustic reply, a harsh and critical reply and to all these people. Okay, if you go on putting pressure on children, and there is a biggest loss to children and to parents. So it is the right time not to impose them, just to encourage them, just to persuade them, just to urge them. And don't show what you call, there is a policy, carrot and stick policy. You should not follow that stick policy. You should follow, that is what you call, offering some bonanza to them, offering some, perk to the children, and try to assuage them, and don't try to force them. right? So in this situation, critical situation, and their liberty may be what you call choked, and at that time there is a possibility of what you say that these children may go in a wrong direction. Next, turbulent times. Recently our prime minister announced, yes, we are in turbulent times, means in turmoil, in what you call a pandemic situation, in a pandemonium state. So, difficult message given by our Prime Minister. Enforced hardship. You see, enforced means imposed difficulties we have. So, we have to face these enforced difficulties, and with some pain we have. There is a saying we know that no pains, no gains. So, if you want to get something good or something benefit, you must be ready to lose something willingly, not reluctantly. So here, enforced means imposed, and reposing means rest, reposing greater faith in the state. So that's why, and in order to get some benefit, you should believe, you should put your confidence, and you should repose confidence and faith, okay, particularly the governments. Then only the governments can do something. And look at this picture. And today everybody advising and giving that sage advice, stay at home. And here is a funny picture. And we are staying at home, but all our members of the family sitting together, sitting side by side, putting arm in arm, hand in glove, and cheek by jowl. Cheek by jowl means moving together very closely, right? And this is quite contradictory to our what you call social distancing. But we should keep social distancing, but whereas at home, and that is not possible, right? So at home also, if you want to keep that social distancing, and that is ridiculous, and somebody says, so that is why here cheek by jowl means move closely and arm in arm, or what you call hand in hand. And even at home also, we should not show what you call at arm's length. At arm's length means at a distance, but it is not possible according to this what you call picture. And that's why our life is at our wits' end. At our wits' end means in a confusing situation. Even at home, we should maintain social distance. And this is what you call a question mark to us. So here, this is the picture. Next. See, and in this pandemic situation, particularly the pharmaceutical industry, it has so many benefits. It is booming, and it is milking the opportunity, means taking the advantage. You know, one idiom, fishing in the troubled water. Fishing in the troubled water means that is taking the advantage out of somebody's difficulties. And today, pharmaceutical industry, and it is making use of this what you call a crisis in an advantage way. So that is called milking the opportunity. You know, most of the sectors related to economy, they are slipping into the doldrums. But this industry, and even Amazon, and that is also milking the opportunity. So here milking the opportunity means using the advantage or taking the advantage. See here, particularly the college going students, and their career is on the brink or on the edge, at crossroads. Now they are in a dilemma, at their wits' end, and it is really a crunch period to them, and they are in fever and fret. The situation demands like that. Fever and fret means worrying, troubling them, what to do. So, most of the students today, and they are making use of the best opportune time this is, and they are doing some courses on online, right? So, it is the way beating the lockdown boredom. It is the best way conquering the lockdown boredom. That is the meaning of beat. Okay. See, and today everybody feels like that. A hard row to hoe or a tough row to hoe means we are bearing the difficulty. It is a difficult situation which is very difficult to deal with and to handle with. And most of the people, and they are in depressed mood because of this difficult task. They feel that the whole burden of the world lying on their shoulder. So it is a psychological issue. Even though we give many doses of confidence, sometimes there is what we say, we feel depressed. Okay, it is not denying. The fact is not denying, right? It is true. We know when pigs fly, what does it mean? In Telugu, we say that korikle gurralaite. See here, if pigs start flying, what does it mean? It is an idiomatic expression. It is used scoff at ambitious plans. Can pigs fly? It is impossible. It is a pipe dream. It is very difficult. And it is our ambition, but over ambition that is. So, if we have that kind of ambition, we will be laughed at, we will be scoffed at, we will be made fun of. Because that is too difficult to reach. That is called Herculean task, very difficult task, uphill task, or what you call pipe dream. See, during this lockdown period, and some children, and they are making use of in order to develop their creativity. During this lockdown period, once when plague was broken out, and at that time, and it is said that, and Isaac Newton discovered this gravitational power or gravitational force. So he used his creativity. So in this lockdown period, and there is so much of what you call scope to improve one's creativity, and your one's creativity skills will be honed, will be improved by doing like this. We know, yes, in order to create this creativity, God has given a second opportunity to us. That is called second bite of the apple. So, at the first instance, nobody may be successful, or second, or third, or 99, or 100, like that. So, this is the idiom. Second bite of the apple means that is a second chance given to somebody and to continue or to do that particular work, and later, and that person may come off with flying colors. And a second chance given to whom? To human beings. It is a second chance for earthlings. Earthlings means here human beings. And see this picture, and this man invested crores of rupees, lakhs of rupees, what you call, in stock market. He is bedridden, and he has got a bundle of nerves, and he is in doldrums, unrest. There is no use to feel like that. The longer we dither, the greater the impulse to adapt measures that will crimp our eventual recovery and long-term growth. And actually, this is a statement given by Trump. The longer we dither, okay, the greater the impulse to adapt measures that will crimp. Crimp means avoid our eventual recovery. One fine day, our final recovery may not be possible. The measures we take pour into the gutter and crimp our recovery. Crimp means destroy our recovery. The longer we bother, the longer we dither. So there is no use of worrying. There is no use of troubling. You cannot change the situation. Accept the reality. Ready to lose something in order to get something. So that's why, and it is the given statement or given advice, rest easy. Rest easy means not to worry. Right. See, and this is a picture here. That is the government officials or the private officials, and they are resorting to corruption, bribery, or what you call hush money, Hush, or hush money or hush money. Right? So that is called bribery. To use your authority to make someone else behave better or work harder. Because these people are corrupted. Government all set to crack the whip on errant builders post-election. Errant means that is called wrongdoers. And the government is strictly using its authority means to crack the whip means and to criticize or what you call it to take the action. And see, this is one of the incidents that taken place in Tamil Nadu. A woman, that woman is called con woman, C-O-N. Con means cheating. And that woman succeeded in many incidents and cheating, particularly the customers when they were operating their ATM card. And later she was caught behind and she was put behind the bars. Now she is cooling her heels behind the bars. Means she was put behind the bars. See, and these are the slogans. And these slogans are clamant slogans, dinning into our ears, clamorous voice, vociferous voice in their protest. What is their request in their protest? The request in their protest is that money should not be distributed, money should not be doled out. You know the word dole, D-O-L-E, dole, O-U-T, out. Dole out means distribute. So money should not be doled out, distributed, disseminated, particularly during the election period. So this is their request in their protest, and it is their demand in their protest with vociferous voice, with clamant voice, with what you call that is echoing voice, what you call a strident voice. You can say that. You see, here embark on, startup. Startup is a very, yes, it is not a new word. Start out also meaning startup. That is not antonym to startup. Right? So embark on means start a new journey or start a new business. See, today we know Netflix, Prime, right? And our business people, particularly Ambani, very recently he is going to try to enter into and this business and aiming to come to close its leading contenders. Here, leading contenders means leading rivals, leading enemies in the market like Amazon, Prime, and Hotstar in India. American video streaming giant Netflix on Wednesday unveiled a mobile subscription plan for India at $199 per month. So in business, and these business people follow or resort to some unethical methods. So there should be live and let live others. Why these people forget this simple philosophy? So doing business not at the cost of somebody's business. And that is really unfair business. We know, and whatever we have, we have profited from the public, we should give back some amount to the public. And that is called a real business. So anyhow, here contenders meaning what you call enemies or competitors, we can say. Recently, we know even in temples also, and particularly these poojas, online poojas. Okay, but in Kedeswaranath temple, it is not possible. Spokespersons for the priest union and the temple managements told reporters tradition was inviolable. Inviolable means unbreakable. Inviolable meaning sacred, sanctity and sanctimonial. And that cameras cannot be allowed inside the sanctum and sanctorum. Sanctum and sanctorum means the inner part of the temple, inner area of the temple. That is a sacred place. So camera should not be allowed. So inviolable meaning unbreakable, impossible, and another meaning is sacred, and sanctity. And we know 3 years after elbowing into the Indian wireless phones market with free calls and data, we know Ambani, this is Mukesh Ambani. And recently he has decided to enter into what you call these TV programs, right? And elbowing into meaning defeating the Indian wireless phones, and wedging into and foray into or wedging into means entering into new business. In our lockdown period, and we should take our breakfast, our brunch, our lunch, our dinner, our supper at regular intervals. If we fail to keep them or to keep these timings, and some physical disorders may be taken place. So here intermittent means irregular or sporadic. So intermittent lunch or intermittent dinner and sporadic eating hobbies may disturb physically and mentally. Yes, already we have seen, but here another idiom, have all the cares of the world on our shoulders. We feel that all the troubles on our shoulders. So be struggling with immense burden or worrisome or responsibility. See, today, all the husbands in the houses, and how friendly they are, how amiable they are, and they are showing so much of amity towards their partner, their better half. And these husbands are labeled docile husbands. Docile means friendly, flexible, tractable, obedient husband, because and they are what you call intentionally and willingly, and they are giving their support to their wives, and really they have got a label docile husband. You know, Hyderabad beautification gets a fillip. A fillip means a boosting, a kind of encouragement. Today it is the order. So stop ordering French items or French food, fast food. Stoppage. Stoppage means stopped. And develop penchant. Penchant for what? Penchant for US chicken legs. Penchant means special liking, right? That is called predilection, proclivity, or you can say that, and there is a another word, predisposition or inclination, that is called special liking. See here, he says that in order to make Modi and Trump, what you call Trump, Modi and Trump's road show, become successful, and we need a humongous crowd. So how can we attract a humongous crowd? By inviting the what you call the sought after heroes and heroines in Bollywood, and the charming, the charismatic people from Bollywood. If they are invited, and definitely we can attract humongous crowd, huge crowd, colossal crowd, or gargantuan crowd. And this is the explanation. And later, see here coronavirus advisory. Price gouging. Price gouging means charging extra amount on customers or overcharging. So that kind of activity should not be encouraged at this moment. So fleece, gauze meaning overcharge. See, today, because of this lockdown, and every solar system is very clear to one's naked eyes. So that is called pan solar system. Pan means all. Panorama. So orama means sight. Panorama means that sight is all sight is called panorama. And diorama. Diorama means, in our exhibitions particularly, different pictures are painted on a single slate. Okay, that is, there are so many running pictures on the on the slate, and that is called diorama. So today, and panorama, diorama, And pan solar system is very clear to our naked eyes. So pan India means entire India. Thanks to the lockdown, we are able to see the pan solar system, or what you call entire solar system. See, some relief is given now, and these people secretly trying to get their food. We know in our kitchen room also, and the cat enters secretly. So that is called sneaking, snooping, or spying. Means enter a place secretly. Social distancing goes for a toss. Go for a toss meaning here ignore or forget. So at Begum Bazaar, and this is completely violated. That violation is called go for a toss. So KTR asks cops not to brook violations. So here brook meaning a rivulet is called brook. A small river is called brook. But here brook is used in the form of a verb. So here brook means tolerate or allow. So here don't allow violations, transgressions, or what you call trespasses. If anybody trespasses the rules, transgresses the rules, breaches the rules, and that person should be punished severely. And see, watching the cartoons can hone children's delineating skills and memory. And one of the studies it is. So if you allow children, and there is a possibility of honing their skills and describing what narrative skills will be developed. See, yes, particularly the TV anchors, or what you call these actors on the small screen, on the big screen, and they are spending their time with their children sometimes, and that becomes fuel nostalgia. Means, fuel. If you add fuel to the machine, what happens? It runs what you call very fast. Or if you add fuel to the fire, means, and that trouble may become intensified. But here, fuel nostalgia means that is this lockdown system working as a fuel, and to get back their what you call forgotten things. Nostalgia means, that sick of the past, and we remember and we recollect our past incidents in our childhood. See, and that is the US president. And this US president named this China virus, that virus, Chinese virus. So Treason, this is the word Treason. Treason means label or give a name to somebody. So Trump Treason this virus, okay, Chinese virus. See, this is the class today. Because 2 days I was busy in online classes, because I am preparing so many classes. So that's why I didn't post any video. Hope you enjoy this one. Thank you very much for your monumental patience. Thank you.